Welcome to HomeFront Sitrep. I hope you're in for a great show today, because I'm just a veteran talking about what's on my mind and maybe you.
You can find HomeFront Sitrep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. You can also check out HomeFront Sitrep's YouTube channel.
Buckle up, the show is starting.
Welcome, everybody, to Monday edition of HomeFront Sitrep. How is everybody doing? Gunny, how are you, sir?
I'm good. Tired, but good. Got home at 2:30 this morning, coming from the left coast. A little bit delayed going out of San Fran, coming into, already Chicago. We got moved around, some storms, and put on a delay there. I had 4 minutes to catch my flight once we got to the gate. Good thing is I was only three gates down, and I run over there, sweating my bag off, just to find out they're on a 30-minute hold for another aircraft. I was like, oh, I pushed people out of the way. I ran by people. I'm yelling my lungs out, move. And I get over there, and we haven't even started boarding yet.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and then took off late up there, coming into Cincinnati. And just as we were on approach, we were, maybe 20 miles out. Storm pops up, and next thing I know, we're climbing again. I'm like, what's going on? Pilot comes over. We're diverting to Indy. So went over Indy, put on more fuel, waited for the storm, and then finally was able to get in.
Oh, man.
But my bag didn't make it. So, I had to wait for the gate agent at, 2 something this morning. And then hey, just deliver it to my house. And they're like, what is it? I said, well, it's a Pelican case, a rifle Pelican case. Oh, we can't do that. It's a firearm. I'm like, there are no firearms in it. I said, it says skydive gear all over it. It's
Right.
not a firearm. Just take it to my damn house. I'm not going to be here. She's like, well, we might get to it tomorrow. I'm like, no, you'll get to it today. I said, it's in Chicago right now. I've got a tracker on it. And if it's not here tomorrow, there's going to be issues.
Right.
So, I had a pyro pickup this afternoon. I mean, it's a big weekend for us. I think we got like 10 shows, starting on the 3rd, going all the way through the 6th, I think. And then we, so did the pyro pickup, pulled into work. And just as soon as I pulled in, they're like, boxes at your house. I was like, yes, thank God. Cause I need it. I leave tomorrow night, for Florida for our show and, family vacation, but I need it before I leave. But But yeah, and then it was cool. While we were out there, we went to a Hawaiian barbecue joint, and as we're pulling in, I was like, "Man, that's a massive cemetery." So it's Golden Gate National Cemetery, and one of my teammates pulled it up, and Admiral Nimitz is buried in there.
I know. I seen the picture.
I was like, "Wow, who else is buried?" So I look. They've got 16 Medal of Honor recipients from. I don't think any of the recent ones. I think it's World War II and earlier, like Spanish American Wars. There's a guy that received his actions at Wounded Knee Creek. That's buried in there. South Dakota. So he earned his medal in South Dakota, right? Back in the Spanish American Wars. And then 3 of the Navajo Code Talkers and some other influential people too. But we went up there and paid a visit. 113,000 headstones. 143,000 people buried in there. Brothers buried in the same area. Front of the tombstone is one, back of the tombstone is other. Like one died in war and the other one died later in life. There was one that was a set of brothers and one of the wives.
Oh dang!
So they had 3. I was like, that's crazy. But yeah, I mean, you just don't know when you ride by these places and who's in there. And we weren't going to stop in, and it's like Admiral Nimitz. Oh, why would I not stop in, right? And then you find out there's others there, right? So, PFC Gonsalves from the Northern Training Area. We went through Jungle Warfare Training Center.
Yep.
It's named after him. He's buried in there, so I paid my respects and went to his marker as well. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was busy and getting ready to get busy again. I'm out of town tomorrow until the 6th. Like late on the 6th, so I won't be here next Sunday again. And then 10th, 11th, 12th, we have jumps in Ohio. So, and then after that, I've got some downtime. We've got the release of our bourbon for Team Fast Track. So excited about that one. But yeah, how about you? How was your weekend? How was yesterday's show?
Bro, yesterday's show was awesome. So we had Transcend 214. They're part of the Rod Lemon Foundation. And they do a lot with homeless veterans. They got a 216-acre property that they're going to put tiny homes on for homeless veterans. They do mental health. They're working on doing legal assistance for veterans and stuff like that. And it's just amazing. And then they have the food drives that they do as well. It was amazing. The weekend was pretty lazy. Like Saturday, I didn't really do a whole lot Saturday. And then Sunday, got up, went to church with the wife and kids. We went to the early service because some of the kids from church camp are getting baptized. Normally we go to 11:30, but we went to the 9:30. And you know me, if I don't get there 30 minutes early to get my spot, I'm not happy. So we get there at 9:22. Service starts at 09:30. Guess what old man Willis did? I stood up in the back of church because I couldn't find a spot that was comfortable or suitable for me. Now the wife and kids went and sat down, but I was just sitting back in the back where they do the lighting and sound and all of that. That's where I was standing up there with one of my buddies who does the lighting, and I was just hanging out with him. And then we went to breakfast after church with both my girls and Nick, my youngest daughter's boyfriend. They've been dating for 2 years. He's the son of a Marine, so he met us up there. We had Bob Evans for breakfast, and then came home, got ready for the podcast, and It was awesome. Last night was an amazing episode with great information, passed along. She's working on things nationally, um, to help veterans. So you know how, like, if a veteran has PTS, right? They go through a divorce. A lot of times the female will use that against the male veteran to keep him away from their kids. Well,
Yeah.
she's working on things political wise to help combat that for male veterans, and I think that's super neat because I've heard a lot of male veterans out there say, "Hey, I can't get my kids because I have a rating for PTSD,"
Yeah.
and it's just like,
Well, and there's a
it,
lot of females that are like that too. That
yeah,
I know that the husband that didn't serve has the kids, and the military member, the spouse, the female,
right.
doesn't have she has visitation, and
Yeah.
and she has post traumatic stress, but it's it's just those words, right? Those three words, and
Yep.
it's we talked about it a couple weeks ago with hiring processes, and those three words just are a huge deterrent
Yeah.
against a lot of things, and they shouldn't be. You know what I mean? It's just we can beat that friggin'
Yeah.
horse.
Yeah. It's it's definitely a momentum killer. Like if you're trying to get a job and they're like, find out that you have PTS and they're like, oh, well, we can't hire you, and it's just like, bro, like my PTS doesn't really affect me to a point where I want to snap somebody's head off, even though there's days that I want to punch somebody, right, donkey punch somebody, and
Yeah.
but it is what it is. So,
Yeah, I
you know,
saw before we move forward real quick, I saw Steve made a comment that the bottling is going live tomorrow.
oh,
So
nice.
yeah, so J Matt is going to have their bottle on their website for sale tomorrow, and J Matt, they can ship to all but 3 or 5 states, I think. So
Yeah, and
they
that's
changed. Yeah, they changed distributor. That's Warrior on a Cruise bottle
yep,
will be on
yep.
the webpage tomorrow. So yeah, excited about that one too, and helping those guys out.
Heck yeah. It's an amazing bottle, even though it's got LSU colors on the wax. Amazing
Just
bottle.
keep rubbing it in the rich. Keep rubbing it in the rich.
Yeah, definitely. No, so speaking of Warrior Honor Cruise, and what they do is they represent, Purple Heart veterans and stuff like that. That kind of goes into our guest today, kind of, sort of, to a certain extent. Um, we are S.F.H. We are still effing here. It's an apparel brand and a movement. Not just an apparel brand, it's a movement as well. We got the co-founders, Tyler Southern and Lance Price. They're going to come up here and talk about themselves, and then they're going to talk about the movement of We Are S.F.H. Still effing here. So without further ado, let's bring them up to the stage.
Yeah, man.
Woo. Hey,
Welcome, gentlemen. How are you guys?
short.
Awesome. Thanks for having us.
Doing
You've
good.
always been a little short.
Well, welcome to the world of
Average.
HomeFront Sitrep, and thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule, because I know you guys are super friggin' busy. Do me a favor and introduce yourself to the world of HomeFront Sitrep. Whoever wants to go first.
Absolutely. So I'm Lance Price. I did 18 years in the Navy as a corpsman. During that time, I got the luxury of deploying multiple times to multiple areas, such as Iraq and Afghanistan. Through the multiple deployments, I had the luxury of seeing my share of blast, one that gave me a fairly severe TBI, which is what I ended up getting medically retired at 18 years from, and as well as severe chronic PTS. And when I got out, it was trying to find a calling, because we're lost when we first get out. And that was my second darkest moment, was when I first got out and realized, like, okay, this career that I've done for 18 years, now I'm just starting over, and I'm not a young kid anymore. So met Tyler about that time for the first time, and he can kind of explain that as we go. And then I got the luxury of meeting someone that provided a shot called the stellate ganglion block, for
Yeah.
PTS. I got the Stellic shot and slept for 18 hours. Most I'd slept probably for years was maybe 2. Woke up pretty much a different person, is the best way to say it. But the theory behind it is it puts to sleep your fight or flight mechanism. So when it comes back
Resets.
awake, it's not as aggravated. It's kind of like a reboot process. And they use normal lidocaine into a region of your neck where that nerve is located and inject it. And you hope for the best. And on one shot, which I know now they're doing 2 shots. With one shot, it has over 80% success rate for PTS.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. So Lance, did you get med boarded out? And how long did your process take?
I was one of the lucky ones. I was at a float training group when I got separated. So I had all the assets at my disposal. I had a great group of fellow IDCs that had been through the mess with me or in other units that were there for me, that supported me, in literally a great group of chiefs that took me under their wing and made sure I got the proper tools that I needed to get out. So I was a little bit different. And one thing that I can say, those who left out of a float training group, no matter what your rank was, that was just the way it was. They took care of you getting out.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people went there to get out. 18.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So
yeah.
I did mine in 11. So I started mine in 9. And so I was one of the first Marine Corps side that did the dual, went to the VA and it went to the Navy for my rating. And it was, ended up having more surgeries and it just prolonged it. But yeah, mine took a little over 2 years.
Yeah. So I was pretty lucky.
Yeah, it's fun being the guinea pig.
I got to stay in while all my board and everything was doing, so I didn't have to wait for it like many do. So many have to. Yeah.
All right, Mr. Ty, you're up.
All right. So I'm what's left of Ty Southern, Corporal, United States Marine Corps. I joined in 2007 out of Jacksonville, Florida, 2 days after high school graduation. And we did Iraq 08, 09-ish and got out of that scot-free with a couple screws loose. But March 5th, 2010, we deployed to southern Afghanistan. May 5th, 2010, stepped on 10 pounds of homemade explosives, victim operated pressure plate IED about 6 inches straight down while we were trying to take a compound that we were told, we had accurate intelligence that there were up to 6 high-level Taliban inside. Luckily, no one was there because the complex ambush that I kicked off never went off. I was the only one injured in the entire incident. Come on. And 10 minutes blast the bird. They got me to Bastion and Bagram, where at one of them, they had to hack open my chest plate and do a thoracotomy, play with my heart, freaking lock my aorta so that all the blood stayed in my heart and my brain. Brian will be very mad if I don't say I flatlined. They lost count at like 10 times. My lungs collapsed about that many times too. Hell, they were going to fly my family to Germany to be with me until I was stable. And then they decided I was going to die and stabilized me to fly me home to Bethesda at least.
Hence the significance of the flat line in our design.
Yeah.
As the heartbeat comes back.
I did some dying.
That's Ty's heartbeat. He did some dying, but he came back. So he was resilient in that nature.
Relentless.
There you go.
But no, so Bethesda's job was just to make me as comfortable as possible till I died. And I always appreciated the doctors in Germany for doing that because their whole reasoning was if he's going to go, let him go on American soil. And I was like, when I did come out of the medically induced coma on the 18th, 2 weeks later, I was very grateful for that. But they were just like, and you just didn't die. We did the whole make you comfortable thing, and it all kept going.
so you know that scene from The Hangover. But did you die? And you're like, maybe
not that often.
A little bit, but
we say that often.
Oh man,
I just didn't stay dead. That's all.
Yeah.
And then I did 2.5 years at Walter Reed at Bethesda, rehabilitating limb salvage. They rebuilt my arm from the elbow down over 2.5 years. My med board process was through the hospital specifically because I was TR by SR there. So it ended up being like a 6-month process.
Which is what it's supposed to be, right?
Exactly.
So,
yeah. And I couldn't do another killing season up there. 2.5 years was plenty. Watching just the fresh crop of dudes rolling in was no fun. It was hard for my heart. So because initially the plan was to re-enlist. I was going to still try and do 20, 30 something, but they had recruiting and HR and something else. And I was like, recruiting, you're going to stick me at like corporate in a broom closet. Because God forbid a mother of America sees me
as a recruiter.
They're not going to send me to high schools and be like, don't you want to join the Marine Corps?
Yeah.
You would have been driving the Humvee around or something.
Just like
I'd have been the wheelman. But so September 2012, I retired medically to St. Augustine, Florida, with my then wife. We had 2 kids. Then we split, but worked for several charities along the way and was just kind of floating for a little while there until the boys found me and asked if I wanted to be a part of this thing we started, or that they were thinking about starting, and you inspired this. And I'm like, what did I do now? And it just turned into a whole thing, because you're not supposed to laugh about the things that I've been through, apparently.
None of us are. None of us are, right? And that's the deal. So it's. So are you still in St. Augustine?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
I'll be there starting the 3rd. I'll be there the 3rd through the 6th.
All right.
Nice.
So we'll link up for sure.
Yeah, we'll try to make that happen. Hell yeah,
man.
Yeah.
I don't got the kids.
There you
go. Actually, I'll be there the 2nd. I have to work the 3rd.
I have to drive to Tallahassee tomorrow, but I'll be back.
Maybe y'all can go to that barbecue together.
I do like barbecue.
Oh, it's Filipino barbecue.
Ooh, I've never had. I've never had Filipino barbecue. Please broaden my horizons. Let's go. That sounds awesome. My last name's Southern. I like barbecue.
Imagine that.
Hey, you're from Alabama. Same shit.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm from Alabama. Exactly. You got a lot of right?
So let's talk about the movement of S.F.H. Let's talk about that movement. Ooh. Because you're an apparel brand, but it's more than an apparel brand. So let's talk about that.
It was only supposed to be an apparel brand. But Tyler and I started sharing our stories, sharing how we feel. It's always a good day to have a great day type thing. And it kind of caught on, and it became something to where every day we try to put something positive out there, and we believe in one more. Whether we reach out to one person, that one person is going to reach out to another, and it just has that trickle effect. And that's what we're trying to make happen through our merchandise, through our different ways of speaking engagements, and through our podcast. Everything, we just want people to do better and have a better life, and realize that there is a point to where you can stop surviving and start living.
Thriving.
Yeah.
We just, and a lot of people get it twisted because 2/5 of the owners are veterans, that we are specifically for veterans. But if you're hearing our message, you have survived 100% of your bad days, and you're much harder than you're giving yourself credit for. And anyone who's been through anything, cancer, abuse, addiction, hell, if you just lost control of your health and got back in control of it, anyone who's proud of how far they've come, and or sitting in the corner thinking no one gets it, or no one would ever understand, or I couldn't reach out, and that kind of, we want them all. We want the ones in the corners to hear us too.
Well, and we've all experienced loss.
Yeah.
Right. Period.
Facts.
There isn't one. I mean, even my kids at 19 and at 14 have experienced loss of grandparents and, things of that nature. And, that also puts us in a place that we don't want to be, right? Because we're not conditioned, even from a young age, to experience loss, no matter what it is. And of course, then, we all join the military, and during, war, combat, whatever, and we experience a greater loss, right? Of not blood, but our brothers, right? And then sometimes a piece of us, every single time one of our brothers gets injured, there's that spiritual loss, right? There's that moral loss. Anytime that we get injured, like 40 something surgeries, and every time it kicks me on my butt, and I'm like, dude, I got to start all over again, right? And it's like, so all of us have experienced some sort of loss, and we're all still here and have grown and hopefully grown past that loss, right? And we don't have to live for those, but we definitely don't want to forget those that are no longer here.
And like we say, we like to say, still fighting is still finding hope as long as you're here. So
yeah. So for like me, my brother died in 94. I was 15 when he died. And it took me a long time because I was in that corner like, hey, why did you take my brother from me? He was 10 years old. Why did you do this? And when I joined the Marine Corps and went to boot camp, and it was the first Sunday, they're like, hey, who wants to go to church? I raised my hand. I was like, take me, let me go. And, it took me a really long time to get out of that negative, headspace that I was in, because I was like, why? And I think that's what kind of was the turning point for me. And then, with the loss, you seeing, a fellow Marine wind up die in a training exercise right in front of us. That just that really puts you in a headspace. One of your fellow brothers laying in the field, bleeding out. It just
absolutely.
So I love the mission because no matter your darkest days, you're always going to come out on the other side.
So over, under, around, or through.
You made it through everything. As Ty likes to remind everybody, you made it through every single one of your darkest days up till today.
Yeah, you're a real badass. Because everyone listening to this is dealing with something I've never dealt with. No one wants to talk to me about their issues because what could I tell him? Look how broken he is. And I'm just like, every last part of your story has nothing to do with mine. And I had a loving family and a wildly massive support system when I got hurt. I watched the vast majority of the dudes up there not have that. And people abandoning them, and
I watched the wife come in a room and be like, "That's not my husband anymore," and walked out, and I never saw her again.
We had a lady try to pull the plug on him twice, and he just didn't die. She wanted that $500K bad.
Man,
it was ridiculous. There's a lot of ways where I was luckier than most, and I also can see that. That's a lot of people's problems. They can't get the trauma, the dark, the victim, the why is it happening to me out of their way to realize that, this could have been infinitely worse. It could have been all four. My spine, my heart, something could have been terribly damaged. I have enough stuff. I can go. It's fine. And again, I woke up to my mother explaining to me what happened, not some doctor. That, and that was that. Boom. I was even keeled from the beginning because, my mother, 40 years of nursing expertise, is in my face telling me with her most solemn face, but you were in an accident. Your legs are gone. Your arm's gone. The one you got left is pretty messed up. I'm like, all right, what's next? What are we doing? And we started moving. When did these staples come out? When did the hoses? When did the clamps? When do I get a wheelchair? When can I sit up in this freaking bed? It was always, what do I have left? Let's move.
Yeah.
And that's one thing. And that's one thing that Ty and I saw the more we worked with those that needed a support system and everything is we were the lucky ones. We had that. Now we have the opportunity to be someone else's support system, to help build a support system so that no matter who's in the darkness thinking they're alone, you're not alone. And that's the goal.
Boom.
Yeah, I love that. I really do. Because that's something that we preach here on HomeFront Sitrep all the time is you're not alone. And I love that you guys are, you went through your darkest days and now you're on the other side and you're giving back and you're providing that sense of belonging to people who believe they are alone. And that's what it's all about is as a community, as a veteran community as a whole, there's a lot of veterans out there that only focus on themselves. They don't focus on the community as a whole. And then that's where like-minded individuals like us, we come together and we're like, hey, as long as we work together, then we can help solve the issues that veterans are facing. I love the fact that you guys, because I know with Gunny and I, with this podcast here, our mission, as long as we reach one veteran a day, then we completed our mission today, because that veteran's going to turn around and reach somebody else, and then it just trickles
Pay it
down.
forward.
Yeah, pays it forward. So, heck yeah,
Absolutely.
no, I love it.
I like
So, you made a comment, and I can't relate to it. I know Gunny can. So Ty, you and Gunny can relate to this.
Oh.
You both were in the hospital for a really long time after you sustained your injuries, right?
Yes, sir.
Going through going there, you're in your own headspace, right? And then you're seeing all the brothers and sisters that are there with you. And then they leave and other veterans come in, other brothers and sisters come in. That mind space that put you guys into, how hard was it for you guys to get past that?
Boss man, it's your show.
You're the guest. I tell you, it's hard, right? Because you watch the guys come in after you, but leave before you. And you're like, man, I just want to get out of here. Even if it's just to go get fresh air. I want to get out of this bed. You know, I didn't spend maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks, completely laid out on my back. And the first thing they do once they got the external fixator off me and put the nail in my leg and all this other stuff is they try to get me to stand up. I almost passed out. They didn't sit me up first. I mean, I was up on my foot, and the next thing I know, boom, I'm like, I'm done. I was like, God, what happened?
Why was that step one?
You're right. And if there was a sergeant major there that he was my first sergeant at one point in time, if he would not have been there, I'd been more broken, because there's no way the pregnant nurse that was standing beside me was going to catch me. Not going to happen.
That shouldn't have been step one.
Yeah, let me set up. I'd been 2 weeks on my back in surgeries and morphine and everything else. And they're like, you go from here to, hey, let's go try to walk. And you're like, whoa, that ain't happening.
Timber.
But I mean, it is. It's a little disheartening to watch those guys come in and leave. But you don't. When you're there, you really don't talk about the extent of people's injuries, right? You're focused on yourself at that time. And now that I look back, like my mom would go talk to the other guys that were in the room with me. And like one guy, man, the guy that was over here to my right, that dude would start yelling in Arabic every single night. And I'm like, oh, this mother lover. I'm going to go over and kill him if he doesn't stop. And he had never taken a linguistics course whatsoever. It's just he got hit in that part of his head that all of a sudden he started speaking a different freaking language. But he only did it in his sleep. And then the dude that was across diagonal from me, his wife was in there coming in him and relieving pressure every night. And it's like, why do I get to see that now? Come on.
No joy.
Get me out of this room. And then, then finally, yeah, right. And I ended up working with him later, and I asked him about it. He goes, yeah, I'm not with her anymore. I'm like, wow, she was great.
Yeah, I was saying. She seemed like a winner, sir.
Wow.
But no, I mean, it is. It's a little disheartening at first. And then you realize that, you're still broken and you need to be fixed. There's still things that the doctors need to focus on you solely to get you to that point that you can leave.
Yeah.
And that's where, for a long time, I was like pissed off, completely pissed. And then it was not until after I got out that I'm like, oh, I get it now, right? I matured a little bit, and I wasn't as angry that I had to leave my guys. But the actions that I took saved my guys' lives.
There you go.
Right. And at the end of the day, all my guys came home from that deployment.
Did you accept that right away, or did it take you a very long time to accept it?
I got injured in 2005, and it wasn't until probably 2009. So I ended up happened to leave the infantry. They offered me admin, counter intel, or an aviation job, and I took the aviation job.
Gotcha.
And I would go back over. So 2006, I moved over to the aviation side. My unit deployed again. We lost 17 guys that deployment, and I knew every single one of them. The first deployment, we lost 8 in the battalion, and I knew every single one of them. Great friends, mentors. A kid that I picked up from SOI, the second deployment, we lost 2 kids that I helped recruit as a recruiter. And that loss was even harder. Just, one kid was 17 when he joined, and I had to get his mom to sign the consent.
Right.
But I would go back over, because now we have a Wounded Warrior Battalion. We didn't have that when I got injured. We went right back to the command. The command was in charge of getting us back to our medical and, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And then once I get healthy, I was in charge of getting all the guys back to their medical. But I would go over to Wounded Warrior Battalion and talk to the guys. And every time I talk to them, I'd watch their expressions change from just complete blank stares to there's still hope. That's when I started talking about it to even another Marine who was an aviation guy his entire career. And he's like, dude, I don't understand. I'm like, I don't need you to understand. I just need you to listen. I need to get the friggin' demons out. And, we'd go out and we'd hang out. And he's like, dude, it looks like the sharks are swimming. I'm like, oh, yeah, they're there, but yeah, I mean, it took me over 4 years to realize that I needed to talk about it and accept the things that I was responsible for and forgive the things that I was not responsible for.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. That's a lot to follow, boss man. No, but I had a different deal. The triple out and the arm didn't work at all. We did the first surgery to repair my arm on the anniversary of.
The arm was a salvage.
Yeah, I didn't know how long I was going to have to be there in the first place. So the mission being my arm, I wasn't so dead set on what's next, what's going on, this and that. I was a Lance Corporal when I got hurt. I picked up, I had my non-recommendation lifted due to the fact that I got blown to smithereens and made corporal 3 weeks after. So none of this happened when I had guys under my charge. I was leading a team. So my squad leader had a lot of beef, and getting him through the darkness of it helped. But what ended up happening, and what kind of happened with you, was someone talked to you and you saw the light. That happened early. I was given a gift in Master Sergeant William Spanky Gibson. I love that man to the end of everything. Marine, sniper, took a round through the patella. Recon, gunny, told them after he was good, he was like, I'm deploying, figure out how to make that a thing. And they were like, oh crap. So they made the guidelines, no electronic legs, only mechanical legs. Like you need at least a spare, and he's the reason they made those rules, because a recon gunny could just be like, I'm on my way, make it so. And but he came into my room. He was the first person in 6 to 8 weeks that wasn't some suit or another uniform. That was just, I'm so-and-so from this state. If you have any questions, here's my card. And I'm like, well, leave it with my mother because I can't grab it. And what questions do you think I got? I don't know what the hell's going on here. And then Spanky came in, and again, he's in khakis in a red shirt, and just, what state are you from, boss man? And he just freaking, he sits down, pops off his leg, throws it on the bed. He's like, so you're going to get 2 of these. And I was like, oh shit. And I'm like, what's this? What's that? What's going on with this? And he's explaining the leg to me. He's showing me the things that are cool about it. Like, I'm 20. I'm getting the kid going, put exhaust on the truck. Give me some rims. Like,
Right.
So, and immediately I was like, okay. The goal after sitting up is wheelchair after wheelchair. It's the short ones so I can get onto those. Like he gave me a goal and all of that right away. So I was ICU for 5-6 months, or I was inpatient for 8-9 months, give or take. And then I got to do the outpatient care at the Malone House and those other things. But as soon as I could and they'd allowed me to, I went and saw guys when they were first coming in.
Yeah.
So I was going and meeting the freshly broke dudes. And as, you know, the first American triple amputee to survive Afghanistan. What a weird thing. But I was rolling in with like, you can do it. Look at me doing it. And it became my life's blood too.
Yeah.
And again, my mom not crying every night, if I could stay positive, was another reason. I kept rolling with the punches, basically. So I was given that gift early, that light where you're like, oh crap, talking about it's the only way through this biatch. So
that was later, right? That was later. So I was 05, and you know everything was still very, very fresh.
Yeah, 10.
And yeah, so I rotated from Abu Ghraib at Charlie Surge there to Balad, just to get, you know, dressing, cleaning, and then transfer to launch stool for, I don't know, 4 or 5 days, then to Andrews, and then the doctor from Bethesda, because it wasn't joint then, it was Bethesda and Walter Reed. They were separate.
I was in the last year of its separateness. I was at Walter Reed for last year and part of the transfer to Walter Reed at Bethesda.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so the doctor came over. He's like, "Oh, they did a great job in country. You're gonna be able to keep your leg." And I'm like, "All on morphine? What do you mean?"
Yeah, like
we never had this discussion.
I didn't realize it was almost gone.
Yeah, right. So then once they determined that, they transferred me right to Naval Hospital at Jackson at Camp Lejeune. So I went right back home. I was the first traumatic orthopedic guy to return to Lejeune. And when I got there, I looked up and the guy introduced himself as my surgeon. He goes, "I'm Major Smith." I'm like, "You're not in the Navy." But they brought in a surgeon from Fort Benning because he'd seen so many through jump school that they brought him in to be my surgeon and to teach the naval doctors of the orthopedic side to how to handle this stuff. So again, love being the guinea pig. You know, so I got to be the guinea pig for that, and then the guinea pig for whatever the DES system was, whatever they called it for, you know.
Ty would have not ended up with an arm if it went for a plastic surgeon, right?
Yeah. So I was gonna say I have my own relationship with Lejeune's hospital. I
think everybody that's been at Lejeune does.
OMG. No, if it wasn't for he got out Captain Robert Howard, United States Navy Naval Academy graduate. The orthopedic surgeons wrote me off. Were like, we have to cut it off. My mom, a nurse, not just a crazy mom, was like, "No, you're not cutting his arm off." And they're like, "We have to cut his arm off. The infection's going to kill him." She's like, "You have him. There's pink. There's healthy. Get to work." And said, "I'm not signing that. You are not taking his arm. It's the only one he's got left." And God bless her, because they were like, "Well, fuck him." Oh,
You're good.
You're good with one.
Sorry. Dang it.
Dude, you've done great, bro.
You've done great, bro.
Let's keep going.
You made it a half hour.
When he goes, it'll be your fault. They said that to my mother's face. Wash their hands of me. And then the head of plastic surgery, Dr. Howard, was just like, "Hey, you've got this." And he came in and he rebuilt me from the elbow down. Took my right lower lat out, muscle graft. I got tattoo from my back on my arm now. It looks wonky as heck, but it gets the job done. And I have his signature tattooed on my arm.
Dude, that's badass.
Nice.
I had him sign his good work.
Oh yeah,
that was a fun one. But Lejeune, I had a vancomycin resistant streptococcus, and they put a PICC line in. What's the one that rides over the clavicle? Doc? Hickman catheter. It goes in your shoulder, rides over your clavicle, and then goes into the jug. And freaking, they're supposed to. They resist infection. That's their main freaking gig. And when I get to Lejeune for the leave I was taking for the Vanco, I'm putting, or the other stuff, I forgot what the medicine was, but I'm putting in this dang thing, so I'm not gonna die. I start getting bone chill cold. I don't know what's going on. I'm sweating. I cannot get an ounce of warmth to my system. We go to the hospital. They yank it out immediately. It's been in a week. I tell them it's been in a week. They assume it has to be infected and yank it out. It ended up being that the method of delivery was just giving it to me too fast. And they sat me in their ER for 4 days before they realized that no one in the hospital knows how to do that. So they sent me to Onslow County Memorial Hospital, where a man with dreads to his ass, there was gray in the dreads. I don't care that he had dreads. They were just long. But there was gray in them. And he told me, the patient, I haven't done this since medical school.
Oh, God.
The only reason I point out the gray.
Oh, the joy.
Wow.
So the locals didn't work. I could feel it riding my collarbone all the way to my neck. It was amazeballs. And then the blood draw didn't work. The whole point of it is so you can get medicine and blood draw. But I still had to get stuck every week because the blood draw wouldn't work.
Holy cow.
I love Camp Lejeune's hospital.
So I went in for a gallbladder removal.
Fun.
Well, I ended up getting transferred to UNC Chapel Hill for a Roux-en-Y hepatico-cholecystinoscopy.
Oh, wow.
What? All right.
Oh.
Say it slow for the people who don't know what that means.
Roux-en-Y hepatico-jujunoscopy.
Yeah, and that's that martial arts isn't in the middle.
Yeah. So basically, they take out a portion of your bowel or your upper intestine, right? I think it's your small is the one that's So they take up a portion of your small intestine, then tie that back into your stomach. And what they did is they made an incision and took that piece of the intestine, tied it back in to the intestine, and then tied it into my bile ducts. Yeah.
And it worked like a charm, right? Nothing went wrong whatsoever.
Yeah. So every 6 to 8 months, I would end up with a severe bacterial infection and back in the hospital for 6 to 8 weeks or 6 to 8 days. So this went on for, I don't know, I think I need some wood. I haven't been back in the hospital for a couple of years. Let's just say that. But yeah, every single year, 4 to 6 days in the hospital with this severe bacterial infection that eventually is probably going to kill me. That's that.
You must stay strong.
Yeah. If it's anything, it's going to be that. But they did give me my gastro doctor gave me a medicine to take that helps produce more bile and thins the bile, so that bacteria can't grasp a hold of the scar tissue. So, and it's working. It is working. So.
I was gonna say,
but he's a civilian doctor. No VA. Yeah. So I go civilian doctor for all my specialty care. I won't go to the VA. I refuse.
No, sir. But my wrist is fused by a civilian orthopedic surgeon. He did something that wasn't a thing. They took the heterotopic ossification out of the middle of my forearm. The HO packed it tighter and made it the wrist joint. Huh. So I have at least that much flexion, which, I mean, it ain't much, but I know when it's it works for me. Yeah. But yeah, they've never seen that, heard of that. He was like, I bet we could do that. And I was like, okay.
It's like an episode of Grey's Anatomy. We've never done this, but let's try it. Basically.
And he was like, how I'm going to do it, if they come up with some crazy wrist implant or something, this is removable. And that was it, man. Every time we talked to anybody, that was the second opinion I wanted. Someone to just look at it for more than 5 seconds. But it was always fuse it. Every fusion was the most permanent thing that would ever happen.
Yeah.
And at this point, I don't know that I would trust a wrist joint anyways. But I appreciated him because he sat down. He's like, all right, so here's what I'm thinking. And I'm thinking we might be able to get a little flexion out of this. And we'll be able to take it out of something, and he just went on. And I was like, cool, this one, yeah.
Ty saw his energy and his enthusiasm. Like, I like this.
Yeah,
guy.
yeah. You're going
Exactly.
into my wrist like it's an art project. I'm cool. Let's go.
Let's go, Picasso.
Yeah. Sign it, brother.
Oh, hell.
I'm gonna tell people you did it either way. So make it good. Dr. Peter Murray.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Good
dang.
man.
So did that answer your question, Willis?
Yeah. Sorry. What you talking about, Willis?
Yeah, I think it did. I think it did.
I think so.
Sorry.
What's up, Brian Rue from Every Day's a Saturday USMC vet? What's
What
going
up,
on, buddy?
Brian?
How's it going?
So you guys, you got the apparel brand, you got the movement, you got the podcast. You guys got some events coming up
Real
in
quick,
October. Go ahead,
have
Ty.
before we do the event thing, which is all Lance's brainchild, and he's a badass mofo for Crush and all that, but we haven't mentioned we end up doing the heart of the charity thing a little too hard. 50% of our net proceeds will always go to charity. And those charities are vetted by Lance Truly, and making sure that as many cents on the dollar are going to whatever the fight is. And we want to eventually be a big hub where you'll come to us and be like, all right, who's worth supporting? Who's worth, who's doing the most for the most people?
Yeah.
And S.F.H approves of them. I'm gonna put my money there. So that's always, again, anyone in any fight. So we have a lot of partnerships and co-brands that we have going with amazing companies that are doing big things in human trafficking and drug rehab and all kinds of different things. And we're elated to get our fingers in as many pies as we can.
Right. No, I mean,
help.
really, and that's all you can do. It's the way that you can reach more people that way. And I mean, through co-branding, we get the opportunity to work with other businesses that has like-minded as us. So we take their design and we take one of our designs or a totally new design. Somewhere in there, it's going to have our S.F.H heartbeat. But yeah, just kind of have a baby to make a co-brand. And then on our website, you can go under co-brands and you can see some of the different businesses that we've already co-branded with.
Mm-hmm.
And
then
and the reason,
sorry.
yeah, I'm getting there.
I
know. So, and the co-brand and the betting and everything like that Ty was talking about, up until this point, we've went to other events that are put on by other nonprofits that, as he stated, I vetted. And what I do is I look at their inputs and outputs and just make sure the money's going where they say it is, because we never want to partner ourselves with anyone else. We figured the nonprofit world's been saturated enough, but we can help these nonprofits that are out there that are actually doing the job they say they're doing. And that's what we try to do. We finally got the opportunity. October 17th, we're having a music event in Apopka, Florida. And it's October 18th, we will be having a golf tournament in Winter Garden, Florida. So if you're in the Central Florida area and you want to meet us, learn more about us, maybe grab some cool merch, come out and say hello on October 17th and 18th. Get you a jersey. Yeah, as Ty likes to say.
Yeah, join the team, get a jersey. Now, and we're going to do everything to get me a lefty midge club. And I'm gonna try and go ham on that thing. I had to do it with a righty. I can't get the backhand right. I make contact though. It was pretty.
But
solid.
if you enjoy a good laugh, please go on our S.F.H TikTok and you can see Ty swinging with the wrong arm club, and he may or may not get airborne.
I felt pretty good the first time. It was a from scratch experience. I'd never done it before, so I putted only. So, and I'm supposed to do a full with my only. Like, this is all the weight I got flinging
backward swing.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happens in the video. The first swing, I gave it way too much commitment, like I got legs and like I got normal balance.
The whole body just spins into the air.
I corkscrew in the air for a second, it's just cartoony. It just bonk.
Nice.
But the second one, I made clean contact.
So. If you get the opportunity to come to this golf tournament, we try to have the most fun as possible at our golf tournament without making anybody too mad. But Ty and I may roll through and move your golf ball on you or something like that. It could happen, and but we just need the best of it. And it's for Yeah, there you go. But it's always for a good cause. It's always for a nonprofit. The nonprofit that we're doing it for this time is the Lifeboat Project, and the Lifeboat Project is those who have been members of human trafficking or have been in abusive relationships or anything like that. They give them a hand up and help them out.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, I love that. That's kind of what we want to do with HomeFront Sitrep is because we have a co-branded shirt with same flag, same oath.com, and it says Marine it down on it. And it's a word play off of keep it simple, stupid.
Willis wrote it himself with a red crayon.
Yeah,
What
with
you
red
talking
crayon.
about, Willis?
Yeah, with red crayon. So we get 25% of that of each, 25% of all the sales. At the end of the year, what we're going to do with all the nonprofits that we have interviewed, we're going to do a randomized wheel with all the nonprofits listed on it. Spin that wheel. Whoever it lands on is getting that check at the end of the year.
Oh, that's
then we got a partnership with Elite Engraving who did this hat. We get 20% of all sales of this. So we're going to take all the nonprofits minus the one that already won the other one, and then we're going to spin that wheel, and whoever it lands on is getting it. So that's what we're going to do with with the money that we get from HomeFront Sitrep. So I love that it aligns kind of sort of with your guys' mission,
Yeah,
where
absolutely.
you're taking 50% of and giving it to a nonprofit that you guys are supporting. So
Yeah, I mean, the 50% goes to a nonprofit or an individual in need every time, and then the other 50% goes right back into the business for us to continue to be able to go to events and share the wealth and the love that, hey, no matter how dark it's gotten, because believe me, my hole got pretty deep. There's an answer out there for you, and there's someone out there to help you, and I'm sure the four of us sitting right here are four of them, and that's just, I think more veterans need to hear that and see that.
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Vets,
Yeah,
man, I would say with veterans, they
Just
taught us
everyone.
that. No, I'm just on the veteran
Yeah.
front. They taught
Absolutely.
us. They absolutely taught us adapt and overcome, adapt and overcome, adapt and overcome. And then we get out, we lose I lost the support system. I lost my purpose. I lost my, and I'm like, that sounds like a whole bunch of bullshit. Like, that's all true, but you're getting weighed down by that bullshit. You gotta, what's the plan? Adapt, overcome. What's the plan? Get a job. Okay, this job sucks, but it'll help me get to that job. Or what's the mission? Find the mission. Figure out what you got. Go. Adapt.
Yeah.
Overcome.
Yeah.
Live. Survive. Strive. Let's go. Like, it's not all. If I had the whole squad, I'd be all right. If I still had my support system, I'd be okay. And I'm like, that's not what they taught us.
It's different when you're a leader, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And
so
I never got to
my med board came back 2 weeks later. I was retired.
Dang.
I didn't have that time to truly prepare
any of that.
to get out. And I used to say I came home to nothing, which is wrong. I came home to my wife and my kids, right? So I still had them, but I didn't have anything else, right? Disability pay, that's it, right? And then it's woe is me, blah blah blah, and then I ended up finding, my purpose ended up finding me, and I've been doing it for the past 11 years now. But yeah, it's one of those things, man. You gotta figure out what you want in life. You got to figure out what your passion is and follow your passion. Your passion eventually ends up being your purpose.
Whoa!
Yeah,
what he said.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Ditto.
Co-sign that. No cap on God, for real.
He just dropped the mic on that one, didn't he?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, like Brian Roos says, it's all a mindset.
Oh yeah.
When I got out in 2001 the first time, right before 9/11 happened. I mean, literally, I got out in August. 9/11 happened, and I didn't have time to process that I was out of the military because I was still on terminal leave, and then got out 11 days later. 9/11 happened, and I was like, I'm going back because I already knew I was going back.
Mm-hmm.
And then
they're not going to recall me. Please recall me.
Oh, they did. I was infantry. I knew I was going back.
Yeah.
And when I got out in 2004, I lost that sense of purpose, that sense of camaraderie. But I had a job lined up, so I already was doing, working. Granted, it was a job that I didn't feel like I fit into because some of them were younger than I, some of them were way older than I, and none of them were military or former military.
Yeah.
And
Square
then
peg round hole.
so I've started volunteering, working at nonprofits, or volunteering
Yep.
for nonprofits and stuff, and found that tribe. And I did that until 2020. And then when I resigned from my last nonprofit, I kind of went down a rabbit hole again because my PTS got worse, my anxiety got worse, my hypervigilance got worse. And my wife came to me one day and she said, "Hey, you need to do something or we're getting a divorce." So
Yeah.
that's when I started looking in, what I was going to do with my next purpose in life. And then I was like, well, I want to do a podcast. So I bought the microphones, bought the computer, I bought the camera, bought everything that I needed, and it sat down here for 6 months. And my wife literally pretty much kicked me in my butt and said, "Hey, do your podcast or we're getting a divorce." So I started the podcast, and our first episode was February
Mm.
2023. And I haven't looked back. And I tell you, this is my form of therapy here. Getting to talk with people like you guys, or Brian Roof, or Mark Peterson with We the People there, Mark Peterson, and me and Gunny, we got hooked back up, because of this
Yeah.
podcast. Now, granted, we started talking on Facebook, but then we got hooked up with, because Gunny and I went to boot camp together. I'm surprised he didn't
Well,
say
we,
that.
we met at recruit training.
We met at boot camp on the Yellow Footprints. Then we went to the School of Infantry together. Then we served together at 2nd Battalion, 8th Marines until about 3 years, and then we kind of went our own way when I went.
Yeah, right after Greece.
Yeah. So I've known Gunny since 1997. So it was just lucky that me and him got hooked back up, and
we be old.
Yeah, we be old.
Hey, that's all right. I be young every time we do one of these. Y'all make me feel
Ty's the
ridiculous
baby,
every
it's I.
time. I'm sorry that I was born in 1989.
Yeah, but to caveat on your story, Willis, it was funny. Mine was a little different, but kind of the same, I guess you would say. When I got out, as I said, 18 years as a corpsman, taking care of my Marines, taking care of my baby dogs and everything. With my PTSD, you had mentioned training incident. One of my hardest hit incidents was a training incident while I was with 1st Battalion, 9th Marines, and we lost 9 Marines and 7 injured due to a double feed, and that was during a training evolution. Mortar tube.
Mortars.
But when I got out, you get out, if you don't have any purpose, you definitely go down that rabbit hole really quickly. And I did. It got me to the point where the gun was literally in my hand, and I decided to make 3 phone calls, and I said on the 3rd phone call, if nobody picks up, it is what it is. And luckily on that 3rd phone call, that person picked up. And it was not the person who I would think would pick up. I actually called 3 people that I didn't think would pick up. And that 3rd person didn't only pick up, they were at my house within 15 minutes to take that away from me and stay there with me. So when you're in the dark, that's why I keep telling people, if you're in the darkness, there's somebody out there for you. That person that you would never think is going to pull you out of that hole will be the first one to pull you out. So don't give hope on other people. Give up hope on other people, because that's important. And I finally dug my way out of that, and I dug into nonprofits, as you had stated. And the only bad thing is half of the nonprofits that I work with, the money wasn't going where they said it was going to go. And they refused to show me the inputs and outputs. And I'm like, I can't do this. My mind does not work this way. And then I got the luxury of the shot. I was a little bit better person. Ty and Brian wanted to be friends with me now. I'll let Ty explain that part. But seriously, it was like that.
No. He was not someone to hang out with before he got that shot. No, we would have been acquaintances. A handful of times, probably 2 or 3 times I met him before he got the shot. I didn't remember his name. He was a lump that sat in the corner with his back into the corner with the dog between his legs and grunted. Yes or no
I could
answers.
tell you
is what
every
you get.
person that was coming in and out of the building. I could tell you every exit. I could know the way to get me and my wife out of there. It was a freaking exhausting way to live.
The first time I ever heard him say an entire sentence was after he got the shot. But that was we didn't hang out enough. It was in bars when we hung out, and it was loud. So he wasn't just sitting there staring at me at an event or something. But no, he got the shot, and the rest was rock and roll history. I met this guy that I call one of my best friends. So
yeah.
So
I would say find your shot, even if it's not the shot.
Yeah.
Find your shot.
Exactly. There's something out there for everyone.
Mark says, I see it all the time. Orgs need to be givers, not receivers. We walk away from many. And I'm right there with Mark too, because like when I do my research and I'm looking into these nonprofits, I look for their 990s. And if I see that there's no money going out and their monthly expenses stay the same, but yet they got $1 million in the bank, who the hell are they helping? They're not helping anybody if they got $1 million in the bank. So I walk away from so many nonprofits because,
and a lot of them that have that, how do they do it? Because I mean, after year 3, you're being audited every year. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
No,
you are, but you're not.
Yeah, I hear you.
People don't look at the D rate of the charity; they look at the Super Bowl commercial.
Yeah,
fair.
Yeah,
and that is as close to calling someone out as I'm gonna get.
What's going on, Devil Doc Shannon Book? How are you, sir?
Hey, Shannon, how's it going?
Semper Fortis, Fat Devils.
Yeah, so Mark says we've muddied the water. 58K nonprofits.
That is several K nonprofits.
Yeah, there's plenty of them out there. Now let's help them do what they're really set out to do, and the ones that aren't, let's get rid of them. Because there's way too many out there that's taking advantage of their own people. And I'm not just saying just veterans. I'm saying any type of organization, whether it be trafficking or anything. There are a lot out there that are not doing the work that they say they do. And Tyler and I have got the opportunity through S.F.H to meet some of these crews that are crews out in Memphis that are literally taking over a town and getting the drugs out and turning crack houses into hope houses and all kinds
and
of
using former or recovering addicts to work on the halfway homes that they were once getting high in to make them into freaking, oh my God, it's so awesome. It's the most beautiful thing ever. We Fight Monsters.
Is that Texas Flex? Is that who you're talking about?
We Fight Monsters.
Ben Owen.
Yeah, Ben Owens is out of Memphis. The group out of Texas, the Raven is here, I believe, is out of Texas.
Yeah, the Raven
is a group that we work with.
Love the Raven.
So,
nice. There's a lot of great nonprofits that Gunny and I can lead you guys to. Mission 991 991. He runs the Dapper Barbarian podcast. They also do human trafficking and stuff like that. You got Montana Warriors on the Water, which is a friggin' amazing organization. Blue Skies for the Good Guys and Gals. Warrior Foundation is another good one. You got
Warriors Honor Cruise.
Warrior Honor Cruise, which they honor Purple Heart veterans and they take them on a cruise. It's free for the Purple Heart veterans to go out there. They take 10 new ones
and a guest. Yeah, 2 new. I can't say new. 10 first-time attendees.
Yeah.
Right. And it doesn't matter your branch. It doesn't matter your era of service. You just have to apply, and then it's you and a guest. They pay for an inboard cabin. You have to get to wherever that cruise port is. But, and then if you want to do excursions, you pay for that as well. They just pay for your inboard room. If you want a balcony or a window, you pay for your upgrade.
Which is that's amazing.
Yeah. It's an amazing organization. They're doing amazing things. And the good thing about Warrior Honor Cruise is everybody that's on the board is a Purple Heart veteran. So they understand what Purple Heart vets go through because
they've all been either a first-time recipient, a team leader they brought me back year 2 as a team leader. and then they've all gone back on their own dime as well on the cruise because they've enjoyed it so much.
Hell yeah.
And the organization was getting ready to shut down, and these guys stepped up and said, "We're going to take it. We're going to run with it."
Yeah. I would say,
Nice.
do they end up doing wheelchair races?
I mean,
They
good.
might. They could.
I would say,
Yeah,
Pretty
but
crap.
you got a bit of an advantage. Yours is like 12 miles per hour, so that's a little different.
not
Your
supposed
wheelchair
to.
will smoke the basic wheelchair.
don't. That's not how you let me be a sleeper, bro.
You got that gyro
Oh.
chair?
Oh,
Yeah, that looks bad.
I do. I have the
does,
alley
he does.
chair from Segs for Vets. You have
For
to say it
vets.
slow. SEGS 4vets.com because it
Mhm.
sounds like you're saying something else.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Type in that real quick.
Yeah. It's like, no.
Or
don't do
or
that.
say it when somebody's passing by you and people just kind of turn and look real quick. And Tyler's like, "No, I said Segs, SEGS."
You got to do the Forrest Gump, Ace Ventura G. Just Segs.
Oh man.
Yeah, but in a foreign country, when people are drunk, so you get some sexy time.
For the vets.
Right?
Yeah, you bet. Yeah. Oh shoot.
Sounds
So,
like some
guys,
Do some window shopping.
What you
if
got?
somebody
Lois?
if somebody wants to donate to you guys, what's the best way for them to go donate to you guys?
Okay. Well, first off, remember we're
closed.
LLC. Donations. We are always looking for sponsorships. Like I said, we have our October 17th and 19th event coming up. If you go under our events on our page, which is wearesfh.com,
It's on the
you
bottom.
can find that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I was
for
just
those
like-
for those that are listening,
Yeah.
right,
Right.
it's great
And-
to have it
And
spelled
if you
out.
thank you. And if you want to follow us on all our social medias, it's at wearesfh, and you'll find all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And Ty, you want to shout out about the podcast?
I was gonna say, so we're not allowed to donate. People can't donate specifically to us, is what you were trying to get at, mostly, right? Buying a shirt or being a sponsor to one of the events is the best way to support what we're currently up to.
Correct. So
Um,
buying the merch and sponsoring events.
Yeah, you can't, because we are a for-profit company technically, even though the 50% goes to charity. Yeah, we can't take donations. But Zach Polk is the host of S.F.H. Presents One More Podcast, which can be found anywhere you consume podcasts. Him and I, he's dealt with his depression and his anxieties and things in a dark and gloomy fashion with suicidal ideations and whatnot. And y'all have gathered how I handled my crap. So we kind of do a yin yang of mental health and interview survivors and warriors of every fight. And hopefully try to put methods to the madness. And like we've said probably 6 different times, try to get those people who think no one gets it or no one would get it.
Yeah.
Let them hear that someone is ready to listen at the very least and try. Like, so yeah, S.F.H. presents the One More Podcast.
Heck yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, ladies, gents, if you're out there watching this now or you're listening to it later, it's www.wearesfh.com. Go there, go get a shirt, buy a shirt, go get a jersey, become part of the team, and support the mission of we are still effing here, because everybody needs to be here. Because here, I'm just going to go ahead and do this one now, Gunny, since we're on here. In the silence of your struggles, remember, though unseen, you are deeply held in the hearts of others. You are not alone.
There you go.
Like that.
That's awesome.
Tyler, Lance, thank you guys for coming on and hanging out with us for this hour.
Thanks for having us, man.
15 minutes, man. It's
It's been an
amazing.
hour because we took up like 15 minutes because I ran my sock too much.
Hey, you
but
had some
too much.
experiences to share, bro.
Yeah, man.
Gunnies never talk way too much.
No,
That limbo brief that's supposed to be 5 minutes is now 25 minutes.
Yeah, not to piggyback off the first sergeant, but everything.
All right.
and then when Gunny says, "Is there any questions?" all the Lance corporals are looking around. Who's going to raise their hand?
Best not.
Yeah, that's not.
Yeah, one of those. You forgot we had homework, teach. Shut up. Dog pile of that moron.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Exactly. No, it's been really fun. Thank
Really,
you guys.
y'all so much.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, thank you guys for taking your time to come on for sure and talk about you guys' mission, what you guys are going on.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is we're going to drop you down. If y'all want to hang out, we're going to end the show, and then we'll come back and talk to y'all at the end.
Roger
All right,
that.
they're gonna drop us. Ready?
Oh no.
Man, he's off the chain.
Yes, he is, man. Dude, that was when I first started following them. I was like, dude, this is amazing what they do. And then to get to know him and see the videos that they post and stuff like that, I just knew it was going to be an off the chain episode because they're both friggin' hilarious. I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah, we could have gone a couple hours for sure. Easily
For sure. Ladies, gents, once again, go check out the website www.wearesfh.com. Go buy you a shirt. I know I'm going to order a shirt here in just a few minutes. Once we get done here, I'm going to go ahead and order me a shirt, maybe a jersey. Who knows? We'll see. Yeah, so go check them out. All right, Gunny, let's end it. Let's do it.
Yeah, man.
You're up.
Yeah, you're not alone. You still have worth. You still have value. Surround yourself with people that are going to bring you up and not tear you down. And don't let the dark days win.
I love it. I love it. Hashtag be someone stranger. We as humans, we're more apt to talk to a complete stranger than the ones we love the most. So be somebody stranger. If you're out and about and you see somebody that looks like they're having a bad day or a dark day, ask the next hard question. How are you really doing? Because you might save their life. It could be a 5-minute conversation, could be a 5-hour conversation. You just got to be ready for that conversation. Gunny, this is you.
Yeah, it takes a village. Mark said it earlier. Check 6. Check on yourself first. Make sure you're good, and call 6 people in your contacts. Your village is going to grow and shrink the older you get. Friendships fade away. The joy of social media is a lot of those friendships have been brought back together. So, make sure you're checking with your people, and maybe you're the person that needs to check on somebody.
Yep. I say I got my people that I call or text daily to see how they're doing. I talked to Doc, my Doc Reardon earlier today. Just had a total knee replacement like I had, and I was checking on him. He had it done on the 28th, and I was checking on him to see how he's doing. And he hasn't really left his house, but he's doing all right. What's his comment here? Patriot Pride. That's right. I want to give a big shout out to our sponsors, Heroes Media Group, Reese Across America Radio, Military United Podcast Streams, Elite Engraving, Valor Coins and Pins, Same Flag, Same Oath.com. Go check out Same Flag, Same Oath.com. Small veteran-owned T-shirt company in Katy, Texas. Matt Johnson and Becky, his wife, they are amazing. They do great. They have great products out there. So go check out Same Flag, Same Oath.com. Don't forget to check out HomeFrontSitrep.com. You can see the amazing nonprofits that we have interviewed. You can see the veteran singers, veteran authors, veteran business owners. Go check them out. Go check out the website. But it is that time of night, Gunny. It is that time of night. We say this every time, man. We don't want to end the show, and like you said, we probably could go on for another couple hours. But like we always say on Homefront Sitrep, stay safe out there. We got
your 6.
Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed the show.
Suggestions and comments are always welcome.
Cannot wait to have another great show with y'all.
Don't forget you can find Homefront Sitrep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Stay safe out there. I got your 6.